You're listening to 102.7 Chop FM, and this is ArtsTalk. Good evening. You're listening to 102.7 Chop FM, and this is ArtsTalk. I'm Dave Peters.
I'm Taylor Koss.
And this program is dedicated to bringing the arts to Newmarket. Not just the musical arts, although there's always lots of musical artists here, but any artist practicing any discipline, be they amateur or professional. If you're in the arts and would like to appear on this show, then we would like to hear from you.
You can get in touch with us by emailing artstalkradio102.7@gmail.com, or you can send us a message on Facebook. That's facebook.com/artstalkradio. And here we are.
Here we are. And don't forget to tune in every Wednesday at 6 o'clock sharp-ish.
6:06.
6:06 is
Sharp.
very, very close. And to hear good music and to find out what's going on the local arts scene. Our guest tonight is the one and the only Spencer Schliep. Spencer, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Spencer, a regular at all of the local events.
Spencer is a Newmarket punk rock veteran.
I have nowhere better to go.
And we've definitely referenced Spencer throughout a couple shows because you are our loyal listener.
Apparently at 6 after 6, because I don't tune in until about 20 to 7 due to it being my ride home program. So I only catch the tail end.
I thank you for that.
You're very welcome. That's when the numbers spike.
Yeah.
So
6:45, right when we close it.
But don't lead off with good evening. Lead off with good late afternoon because it's starting to get dark early, and we don't want that to happen too early.
It's an excellent point.
There we go. Let's stretch out that summer.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
Here's where I'd like to start. Can I start things off?
I'm already editing the format. This is great.
Thanks for remodeling the show, Spencer.
No problem.
That's why we had you on here. Taylor on Facebook earlier today made a reference to you two arguing throughout the whole show, and so I'd like to maybe start off with exploring why she felt that you two would be arguing throughout the entire show.
I have no idea, to be honest.
Yeah.
Come on now. Come on.
She did gang up with two other people on Saturday night, or Friday night, actually, at the Grey Goat.
At the Grey Goat, which was, by the way, killer.
You led an assault on me. So there was a 3-person assault. You started it. And then as I exited, she tried to light me on fire with her cigarette.
She tried to light you on fire.
Yeah. You'd think I'd be more flammable, but apparently not. So
You look highly flammable.
There you go.
It was a hug. It was a fiery hug.
So, Taylor, perhaps you could explain why you wanted to light Spencer on fire.
I actually just wanted to hug him because I really wanted to wish him a good, heartteart goodbye.
Happy Friday.
She was happy that I was exiting the scene.
I was really glad he was leaving.
The party can keep going.
No.
So,
You're
going to make me swear at the end. Okay, no.
No swearing.
Oh, no.
What? Oh.
We're not even on? None of that was on? We have to redo that? Okay, so it's 6 after 6 on ArtsTalk. What did you just press?
We're going to miss a song because I forgot to press a button. Guys, I'm sorry about this. Spencer is throwing me off my game.
Yeah,
I can listen to music anywhere.
I understand.
I can only talk to you here and now.
Okay.
So here's my point. This is a professional radio program.
What are you doing
People
here?
are not tuning in
paycheck
to hear you two argue, okay? So
you don't know my audience. You clearly don't know my audience.
And by the way, this is ArtsTalk.
This is my audience.
This is ArtsTalk. I'm Dave Peters.
I'm Taylor Koss.
And we're in conversation with an artist allegedly known as
formerly
known as Spencer Schliep.
The artist formerly known as Spencer.
You guys met how long ago?
A year ago.
We've only met like twice. We just talk online.
It's a very intense relationship.
Pretty much threaten to unfriend each other because we're not actual friends.
That's all him.
So
I'm usually like, I'm so glad we're friends, and Spencer's like, Yeah, I can't believe I haven't unfriended you yet.
And I comment that, and it gets likes from people, including yourself.
Yes.
So be glad I
Masochist.
haven't friended you on Facebook.
Yeah, you don't
No,
want
I think
that.
I only accidentally accepted your request.
Oh,
didn't
I think
actually-
you added. Anyways,
Yeah, I
we're not
don't-
arguing.
Then
over
why would you?
Facebook.
Why would you accept my request if I made a request? I think you. What?
I thought you
anyway.
were cool. I thought you were cool. But
Anyway,
So
what led you to that
I don't know.
premature conclusion?
I can account for one new listener tonight. Kim in Whitby is listening, and this is the weirdest
Kim.
show
Because
ever.
of me?
Hello,
Hi,
Kim.
Kim.
Shout out to Kim. Hello, Kim. And
Was
Kim,
she the other person that
The
beat
show is
me
not
up?
normally this weird. Normally, it's a normal conversation with normal people.
Okay, sorry guys.
So
Sorry, Kim.
Sorry for keeping you away.
Okay, so Spencer, when did you start playing guitar? You play guitar in a band.
I thought we were talking about my watercolors.
We can get to that.
I started playing in a band 2 weeks ago.
And?
You booked me when I was not in a band.
It's true, he didn't have a drummer.
The original intent on Taylor's part of getting me on the show was to come on air and beg for a drummer.
Was that
Do you have a drum-heavy audience, or
Surprisingly, yes.
yes? Do
the
we have
co-host
numbers
is a
on
drummer.
that?
Co-host is a drummer.
This-
Okay. She
So-
didn't drop your name, so consider yourself lucky. Consider yourself
Consider
lucky.
myself out of the group of people she actually considers to
Yeah.
be drummers.
I just know you're busy. You're a busy man,
Busy,
okay?
high-powered executive and all. Yeah.
Better places to be.
Spencer,
Anyway-
you are in a couple bands.
Yeah.
You're in a few bands. You were in a few bands.
I was in a few bands, and now as of this is the 8th day, so second day of rest, I guess, but of relaunching a past project. So
What was
Perfect.
this project? Tell us about it. That's why we're here.
it's a blurry history if you want to get into that. But anyway, we'll try and sort that out. But
We've got an hour to fill, so
there we. Oh, I could fill. You guys
Must
could
be-
leave the room, and I could fill an hour alone.
We have
I've
less
done
than
it
an hour.
before.
knock yourself out.
So, well, that door locks from the inside, so we can just barricade it with this wall of CDs that you apparently can't play.
We can shout
Though
out.
there's Nickelback on the deck, so I wonder what listeners are still tuned in that were listening to the last hour, if that was what was waiting waiting for us when we came back. Is
Why?
that? Do you not have that one?
No.
You don't have that album?
Mine's autographed. And anyway, by the kid who pawned it. But anyway, so
I love it.
Dave, are you being serious?
oh my God, there's 10 cents worth back.
Dave, your date's
There you
listening.
go. If you want.
Spencer,
If you want to go to the hawk shop, you can get a
don't be
dime
hater.
for that.
Don't be a hater, okay? Haters.
I'm not. I'm saying that's cash in your hand.
I just want to say one thing. I
It's
said
an obsolete
earlier.
format.
I said earlier
She
today
hit me again.
that this would be the most
Oh!
argumentative. This is the most riled up, rowdy
It's intense.
ArtsTalk episode we've ever had.
Yeah, there's a
and
lot
I
of yelling.
predicted this. Yeah, why are we yelling, Spencer?
I don't know. I don't have headphones on, so I don't know how loud it actually is. Because
We're
you
picking
cheaped
out
out.
the EQ.
You cheaped out. Didn't trade in the Nickelback CDs in order to afford headphones for me to use here. But I intentionally did not have a big meeting with you prior to this, because I knew she would speak of me. You wouldn't believe half of what she was saying, so that would pique your curiosity. It's all about hype. It's not about actually presenting something. It's about, ooh, what's behind the curtain kind of thing. 1, 2, or 3. Is it the year's worth of macaroni? Is it the cruise, or is it the donkey or whatever? If you ever watch Price is Right, you're
I'm very familiar with
There
the
you go.
late Bob Barker,
There
who
you go.
recently passed on.
So,
but
have you ever had him on the show?
we've had him on 4 times.
So, what are you showing me photos of?
Chris Seymour sent me a message and he says, "Tell
Oh.
Spencer I say that he is beautiful."
Chris Seymour is supposed to be working right now.
Oh
so
no, he's not. He's he
Focus,
didn't
Chris.
text
Kevin,
me that.
if you're
He
listening,
didn't text me that.
we'll
Spencer.
cover the topic of Seymour later on. We haven't even got to the band name. He actually was a bass player in this project. That
You played
has
with Chris
been
Seymour?
relaunched. Yeah.
With the Chris Seymour.
With the Chris
How many are there?
There's 11, but you've played
One
with-
of them's the other's the, and what are the other 9?
lots of variations on that theme.
Chris Seymour.
But we're not here. We're not here to
Chris
talk
Seymour.
about the Spencer persona. We're here to talk to Spencer the person.
The watercolor artist.
That's right.
How's that
So-
going for you?
It's raining outside, so it's a buyer's market because anybody can do watercolors in the rain.
I thought you were like in your prime because it's raining.
So, well, you'd think. I don't know. Anyways, we're waiting for that audience to spike.
Yeah,
Anyway,
definitely.
it's not. Used to do a live to air from the arts when they have the arts festival at Fairy Lake. All the original artists. Anyway, are we getting into the band name?
Yeah.
Anyway, as of 8 days, it looks like the sick. And the show's over, people.
No,
Can they hear that?
That happens,
loud enough
yes.
for them to
Of
hear?
course they can hear that. It reminds
Chris
them.
Seymour down in the lobby pulling the fire alarm.
End the show. End the show.
There
End
you
the
go.
show.
There you go.
Zoe, are you
No,
okay,
just
Dave?
joking.
Okay,
Everything's
okay.
fine.
What's the code for when you want to give someone the
Yeah,
hug?
what's your safe word?
That's when I look at Taylor and say, "This show is over. This show is so over."
We're gonna tell
Well, they
the safe
knew there
word.
would be
No,
problems.
this show has a ton of momentum so far. It's actually like
It's going hard. Okay?
This is
train
part
out
one
of
of
control.
3,
Train
but it's
out
going to
of
be every other week. So leave the viewers hanging.
Up to this point, the guys in BS 101
Yeah.
were the weirdest people to interview,
Yeah.
but now Spencer has jumped into the number 1 spot.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome.
How does it feel?
I taught Daryl Bradley everything he knows because he was also in this band at one point. He is the member that I guess you could say we just replaced.
Daryl play bass for you?
So no, he played drums.
Oh, that's right. He does that too.
He does everything.
And what's the
It's
name of the
kinda
band? You were
creepy.
going to name the band first, but then you stopped. You came
No, I
up just
wasn't.
short
It's
of
just-
naming the band.
Well, I feel like I shouldn't totally take over every aspect of everything. I want to let you guys have some space. I've got my own microphone and everything. You guys
shouldn't.
have to
You shouldn't have your
share.
own
We
I
should
guess
remind
you
everyone
guys have to share.
that this is ArtsTalk on 102.7. I'm Dave Peters.
I'm Taylor Koss.
And we are in conversation with...
Spencer Schliep,
That's
watercolor
right.
artist extraordinaire. Finally, some visual art on the show.
We have visual artists.
So yeah, but Taylor didn't want to. Oh, okay, then
We do have visual artists.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yes,
did I
we
know
do.
to do?
Did you not hear the intro?
You didn't want to do the video, the video thing.
I thought it was funny. I just Snapchatted.
Well, we
Seymour
can't
instead.
ask that.
Okay, so just this is a private show for Chris Seymour, who's waiting in the lobby for the firemen to show up.
Chris, how's it going, man? Nice to see you.
Stay out of the rain, man.
We love Chris.
It's okay.
What, is he downstairs?
I'm
No.
not committing to that statement.
We're confusing
So
everyone.
text him to come over.
What is your
or call?
band?
Get him to call in.
Spencer.
Like I said, it's all about building the hype. Everybody who's listening is like dying. They're circling the block, staying in the car to continue listening. This isn't class. You
What's
don't
your
have
band
to-
name?
There is no
What is
there
your
is no class here whatsoever.
Zero.
Tell me your band name,
So,
Spencer. or
oh my
you're
God!
off
Now
the
you're
show.
dying now when you already know.
I know.
So, do you have another? Is Chris waiting with Merloaded in the lobby in case this doesn't go well? You're going to cut and bring Chris in.
Chris is texting saying, I'm never talking to Spencer Schliep again.
And you're getting those people who assisted in beating me up on Friday. They're waiting down in the lobby too.
They're waiting for you
Is,
too.
is that it?
Yeah.
Is that it? We essentially are locked in the room from the outside, not from the inside. Anyway, the SickNeeds have
Woo! It's called the SickNeeds.
come back from whatever obscurity and whatnot. The almost 2-year-long kind of search for a drummer. Other things happen in the meantime, but it was a long time coming, and it's really hard to find drummers at all, and it's really hard when you're just advertising to the world and trying to find strangers.
Yeah.
So
You're looking for a particular style of player?
shows up on time, plays in time. So yeah, very, very specific.
so that's-
Very, very difficult.
That's getting pretty specific. I don't think that's fair.
Someone who has some enthusiasm about what we do, the places we play, kind of thing. So trying to introduce someone to the scene, because everybody that we know
Yeah.
within our scene, if you're checking with friends, it's like, oh, I'll play drums for you. I play this, but I also own a drum kit, or oh, I'm in 5 bands.
Yeah.
My name's Vetter. I'll play drums for you. Sorry, it was 9 at once, but he
We
did.
love you,
A
Vetter.
backhanded
We
shout
love you,
out to
Vetter.
Adam Vetter, who's a very good friend of
We
this
love
show.
Adam better.
We love Adam
But that's what I was going to say, and it's a really good point that you make that introducing new people to the scene, just in general, is a good thing, but especially musicians that aren't really intertwined with it, right?
Yeah. Well, I feel the internet, to say you've discussed it on the show before, how it's a good and a bad thing. And I feel like it's really kind of choked out our scene for the fact that back in the day, everybody was handing out flyers to everybody, random people, and so on.
Right.
And of course, the scene was a lot younger back then. I'm surprised how the people that are alive are still alive. Anyway, and still around. But now it's just, I'm going to advertise to my 500 friends, 80 of whom are still in town, 50 of whom don't work on a Friday or Saturday night, 30 of whom don't have out-of-town plans or so on and so forth, and it just narrows and it funnels
And you
into
consistently do it to
who's
the
there.
same crowd, right?
The same
Over and
people
over
who
and
start
over
moving
again.
further away,
Yeah.
and it's all about getting fresh blood in. Back in the
Yeah.
day, when the Newmarket Punk Scene was thriving, and you said, "Who's Johnny Six Blocks?" Eventually, and this is going to get him all like crazy worked
I know
up.
who he
we
is,
are
by
we
the
are
way.
gonna we are going to make the Newmarket Punk documentary, and we were arguing about what years it would be, and definitively it's 2000 to 2007. Those were the years it was huge, and to say the unsung hero, forgotten hero of that scene was Christian Shenna, who worked at the Newmarket Youth Center. Now he's a principal.
Really?
Kind of thing, yeah.
I know who that guy is. I mean, I never went to his shows or anything,
That's
but
a
I
name-
know
that's a name
who
that I
he
have not
is.
heard.
That was before
He's-
Josh Gottlieb's shows.
Yeah.
Which was kind of
He-
how I got
the
introduced.
predecessor to Josh Gottlieb? Same time-ish?
Really the same time. Christian was working at the youth center and getting community hours as well. He was looking to get a job, get into a field where that was required, so he was doing 2 nights, 1 night paid, 1 night volunteer at the youth center, and different shows were going on. Actually, the first all punk show, was it Punktoberfest at the youth center, was Josh coming to Christian, setting up that show, and then separate things. But there were previous shows at the youth center with bands like Shag. And generally,
Adam Clark.
the first show that I went to at the youth center, it's like, I came back from college, I'm going to all these shows downtown. Like, I went to the Elma Combo so much that the guy at the parking garage was like, "Where do you work? Why are you always here at 3
Like,
a.m.?
"Yo,
You're
Spencer,
the
good to
last.
see you again."
You are the last person out of this parking lot." I'm like, "Well, you're gonna lock my car in. I don't work down here. I just go to shows up the street almost every weekend." Like, the guy thought I lived around the corner, worked around the corner, whatever. I don't know why you'd think I would walk in that case, and just wanted to give him money, whatever. But some of the bands that were playing down there ended up coming up here, and I was like, I'm 23. Am I going to go to a youth center? I'm not really, but now my friends' bands kind of thing, like I got to meet the bands in the city.
That was
They're-
on Main Street in Newmarket, right?
Yeah.
That had a front onto Main Street?
They're playing down the road for $5 instead of $10 $10 a drive, $6 parking or whatever it was at the
Right.
time, kind of thing. I'm like, why wouldn't I go see these bands?
Right.
I go down to the show there, and it wasn't all punk bands. It would be like a mix of bands, and it was basically 20 people would go to see each band. The rest, the other, and there would be 5 bands. The other 80 would be hanging out back.
Right.
Once we changed over and I got a bit more involved, it was 100 people, but they would watch every single band.
Right.
So, like, for kids in high school, having an audience of 100
Awesome,
was
right.
ridiculously amazing.
Yeah.
So, like, I started volunteering doing security there, and they were just like, when are you going to have your band? When is your band ready? When is this happening? Kind of thing. So, and, like, to say I met Christian there when I was, like, at that first show that I went to there, and I was like, the dude with the 2-foot mohawk kind of thing, older dude. So, like, security guy like comes like, who is this kind of thing? And I think he was hoping I was in a band kind of
Right.
thing, because that's absolutely what he was into
Well,
at the
with
time.
a 2-foot mohawk, one would expect
There you go.
you'd be in a band.
Exactly. But I was like, who's playing this music in between bands? It's probably not these Blink-182 14-year-old kids kind of thing. Although, can listen to anything and find anything through older brothers or whatever, or shows like ArtsTalk, which wasn't around at the time anyway. But, like, it was Minor Threat, Black Flag, Circle Jerks, like all this early LA stuff. No
Yeah.
X, though. I would have brought that.
You should've.
But I'm the one who introduced Seymour to them.
I know.
And he
I
passed
know the
that on to
story.
you? Anyway,
no,
okay.
I knew X before.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't have that
You knew X before
documented.
Kristen?
I knew X, and I knew Chris liked X, and that's how we found out we liked X together.
Okay, I didn't know that. I got the story
I actually
from
read
other
about X
sources.
in a novel.
People talk about you, did you know?
Oh,
but
wow.
but anyway, so I started helping with those shows. They kind of changed over to all punk, and like Christian, to say the unsung hero, not just the fact that he did those shows, but his method of flyering. Like, we would have a meeting with the band like a month before the show. Here's your 200 flyers. Go plaster these all over your school. He would contact the schools. He would do like an extra large, fancy done up flyer if they could post that in the hall and make sure that it was okay that they could hand these out throughout the school. He'd go to the mall, and this was before a lot of stores had to have everything passed through head office.
Right.
Like HMV let us flyer there.
Wow.
West 49 let us flyer there and
At the
everything.
Canada Mall? They let you
Yeah,
do that?
they allowed that. Like
Wow.
all these like skateboard shops were like, yeah, let's do this. And like, well, them being local shops continued throughout, but like eventually HMV was like, sorry, we can't even look at it. We can't, like, at one point it was we can hand it to head office, and then it was like we can't even do this.
We're a music
Sorry,
store, but
we're
not
closed
allowed
off to the local everything.
We're not allowed to support local music.
Yeah,
Or music
sorry,
store.
we sell music and make
That's a
money in
shame.
your community through music, but we're not allowed to be a place where people go to find out about local music.
So this is-
But the people were really apologetic and they felt horrible about it. It's a head office.
Yeah, it was
it
So
comes
your,
down the
but
line.
your thesis is that the heyday of punk in Newmarket was about 10 years ago? Is that
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Do you not think there's a bit of a renaissance going on right now? I mean, there's been some great shows at the Grey Goat. Taylor's put on some great shows there.
Andrew and Josh, like there's been some really, really cool shows in the past year, but I do think that the degree, like I went to a few shows in that period of time
Yeah.
when I was like 13, and you're right, like we waited in line in the pouring rain for probably an hour to get into Punks Against Racism at the youth center, and it's
Isn't
like
that crazy?
no one would do that now. Sorry, like I
Not at
wouldn't
all.
do that.
Not at all.
So it's just a
I know people who
different-
live across the street from the Grey Goat
Yeah,
and
what the
don't
hell, guys?
show
Don't
up.
get
I'm
in line.
not,
What the hell, guys?
I'm not going to name Mark's name, but
Mark.
anyway.
Should we, first of all, should we tell people that they're listening to ArtsTalk?
Yes, and I'm Dave Peters.
And I'm Taylor Cross. And we were in
And I'm a watercolor
conversation
artist.
with Spencer Schliep, the watercolor artist. And
Shall
we should
we,
probably reward people
Yeah.
with a little tune here.
with some meat sweats and alcohol.
It's
poisoning.
art talk, not arts rock. Turn it off and anyway.
So,
The Reddies are opening for me because I'm back after this.
this is one of our, this is an ArtsTalk favorite output with.
No, it's not. It's
It isn't?
it's meat sweats and alcohol poisoning by the Reddies.
Oh, the Reddies!
Output, you are not the favorite anymore.
No, well, we
You're
love
one
the
of our
Reddies, though.
favorites, though.
Here we go. Reddies on 102.
Wow, Hey, baby, why you not baby? That's that big that's baby. You leave a feeling that linger. Baby, got me wrapped around you. Middle finger. You know I can't escape you. Baby, baby, I love to hate you. I got a feeling I ain't felt in a while. I got a head right, baby. Up. Then you ride around. I gotta put you down. Then you ride around. I gotta put you down. You leave a feeling that linger. Baby, I've been wrapped around your middle finger. I got a feeling I am feeling such wow. I got a head right, baby. I'm gonna hate you.
Who's that on drums?
Adam Vetter.
That's correct on 102.7 Shop FM. This is ArtsTalk. I'm Dave Peters.
I'm Taylor Koss.
Was there a prize for that answer? Because I could have answered that as well.
Yeah.
I answered.
I intend to win one of those Nickelback CDs before the hour is up.
Surprise.
You up again.
Oh,
There are
into
no
the mic,
prizes.
Taylor? You're what again?
I'm beating Spencer up again.
There
This
we
is
go.
community radio. There's no prizes here.
Ouch!
Yes,
It's all
we don't make
prizes.
anything.
The prize
Your prize is being here with
is
us
being on here, exactly.
tonight.
With a couple of local celebrities.
Oh yes, such good-looking fellas. Fella, I just call myself a fella.
You just called yourself a fella. You're a
Okay,
bit of a
that's
Rockefeller.
fine. I'm cool with that.
Rockefeller. So, Taylor, you've known Spencer for longer than I have.
Only on Facebook.
But
Yeah.
what do you really want to know about Spencer's musical career? Let's start with that.
So, when did the MetalEddies start?
The
Got it.
melodies.
So you were doing security. Finish
Yeah,
your story.
I was-
Finish your
There's
story.
a
I
story here,
was
tell
I
us.
was doing security at the Newmarket shows to say for maybe close to almost a year, half a year at the youth center, and to say the shows were about every 3 months. So I probably did 3 times before actually playing a show there. Funny enough, the first show that I helped, which was the first show I helped Christian put on, he's a huge Exploited fan. And we could literally, I need to get Christian to come on the show.
Yeah, definitely. Christian, come on.
I will argue with him as well as I would with Johnny Eyeball. And if you saw Christian, like, his arms are, like, bigger than my waist. The whole time, people would love to watch us argue because they're like, when's the big guy gonna beat the snot out of that guy? Like,
Can we backtrack a little
Yeah.
bit to Johnny Eyeball, the
Sorry.
best name ever? Who's Johnny Eyeball?
Oh, you know Johnny.
you had him on the
Johnny
show.
Eyeball?
He's so
We had
forgettable.
Johnny Eyeball on the
No,
show?
He probably
John
stole your lunch.
From Die Sci-Fi.
Oh, from Die Sci-Fi. That's Johnny
Die
Eyeball.
Sci-Fi.
That's that fine.
Yeah.
Those are some. His nickname is Johnny Eyeball.
Yeah, you guys talked about it on the show. You discussed it at length.
Really?
Yeah. He
Well,
has,
Dave
I'm
meets
glad
a
you're
lot
listening
of
because
people,
I am
okay?
not.
well, I was going to bring in a list. I could do a show on all the lies that he told on your show. Never let the truth get in the way of a good story. Because I think there's a secret rule in that band that you're not allowed to talk about the MetalEddies. Yeah, I don't think it's secret actually. So yeah, let's forget Die Sci-Fi and talk about the MetalEddies. So anyway, I came back from college. A friend of mine, I met her pretty quickly after coming home. She was putting on some shows on Main Street. There was a place called Gravity's Rainbow, which became the Maid's Cottage, that had an asbestos-soaked basement where they would put shows
Oh my God, I
on.
didn't know
Yeah,
that.
it would be like, why is nobody killing themselves on that water
Honestly,
beam
that's
there?
nice.
It was like 5-foot ceilings,
Oh, wow.
death trap.
All the attendees got lung cancer. It's fantastic.
Exactly,
Wow, I never
exactly.
even
So that's
heard
why
of
it's
that.
2000 and 2007 that we would document, because anyone from before that is no longer alive. And you'd think with my height, I'd be
cool.
right in the rafters just
Exactly.
chewing it all
Sucking
down.
those fibers
Yeah.
right into your lung.
Exactly. So she was running some shows there and some other places. She actually brought the Planet Smashers to Aurora.
Cool.
So like
Wow.
a whole bunch of
Zach loves
stuff
the Planet Smashers.
happened there. That was at when Blue Tile Lounge, the skate place, had a skate park in Aurora.
Okay.
She also did 1 or 2 shows at the Aurora Bowl, the bowling alley,
Yeah,
which were
yeah.
those shows are
They
legendary.
would have been so cool.
Partly for the fact that people were serving themselves and I guess IDing themselves. So if you could reach behind the counter, you
Oh
could
my
drink.
God.
So it's all this
Oh,
stuff
gee,
that
I wonder how that
you only
turned out.
say after the fact. It was fantastic.
I bet it
It was
was.
fantastic. But so she
Maybe
was
some
running
vomiting,
some
but-
shows like that. She did co-op then for Raw Energy Records in the city. So she did some
Who's she? Who's Mystery She?
Christine P. She was doing all that kind of stuff.
cool, very cool.
Josh attended her shows, and then she went away to school, and he copied the format.
Cool.
Yeah, Josh, you copied it all. Anyway,
gotta do it.
filled the gap that opened up. Anyway, so it was like 3 years of trying to put a band together. It's like, oh, I'm not in school here anymore. Everyone who went to school here didn't come back to town. I only started playing guitar in college. So it was like having an impossible time trying to find someone, knowing bands down in the city, but living up here, and so on and so forth. And not having the greatest gear at that time, so it was like, it was a slow build. And then having flyers up at the Arts, literally for 3 years. I changed from guitar to bass to drums, back to guitar eventually, because it was like, I suck at all of these. Which do I enjoy sucking at the most? So
That's a question most of us ask at some points in our lives.
what does Spencer suck at the most?
What do I enjoy watching Spencer suck at the most?
There you go. There you go. And it just happened to be guitar. And then at
Thank you for that.
at one point, got a phone call from this guy. I'm Johnny Eyeball. I just moved back from the city, blah, blah, blah. I want to start a band. I hate every band that you listed in your ad except the Ramones. Let's start a band. I think we'd get along well.
I love it.
And
Hi, I'm Johnny Eyeball. I
Yeah,
want to say that. I want to phone somebody and say that.
You can.
I should.
After the show.
I'm calling somebody.
they will hang
call
up
John.
if they know who Johnny Eyeball is.
Call John and tell him that.
There you go. They'll be like, we said 20 minutes or it's free. It's only been 10. So
So he answered.
he didn't actually say, hi, I'm Johnny Eyeball.
No, I actually didn't know that.
There you go. You don't know all my story.
What did he say?
Anyway, so he just said, hi, I'm John, whatever. I hate all the bands that you listed except for the Ramones. I think we should start a band. And then it was eventually, that was when you actually gave out phone numbers as opposed to like internet stuff.
Wasn't that wasn't scary? Like now,
Yeah,
like,
putting-
you put your phone online, you're like, okay.
I posted, they had like whatever message board down at Ferry Lake and one on Main Street. Like I was putting home phone number all over town, like 500 copies, just everywhere. Hi, I'm Johnny Eyeball. Anyway, so we agreed to meet up. We're like, okay, do we like this guy sounds like a jerk. He probably thought the same. So we're like, and like I had a family business that I could, practice in the basement. That's where I kept those drums that I didn't know how to play. Mm-hmm. And it was like, do I want a stranger to murder me in my basement, or do I want to become friends with strangers and then have them know the real me and then murder me in my basement? So I went with that second route.
I think this is the way to go.
It
At least
really
they're killing
is.
you for a reason. It's not
Yeah,
random.
yeah,
They're killing you
exactly.
Because they want to kill
Yeah,
you.
no random killing. That was a ban on raw energy. And anyway, so we agreed to meet up at the only smoking coffee shop around, which was some place in Bradford. And he's like, oh, I have another guitar player too. We can have two guitar players. Some guy named Jay. I was like, bring instruments. We might be able to jam a little at my place. I don't know how big a jerk you are, how scary you are, whatever. First impressions, you never get it right. So we met up. John brought a bass, a guitar, a little guitar amp for this other guy to play. I had everything else at my place. This other guy brings a Loblaws Superstore bag with a King can. So he brought one beer for himself, was his contribution. It took 3.5 months for me to know that this guy wasn't Johnny's like lifelong friend. I was like, this guy brought his buddy. How do we get rid of this moron? Literally.
He wasn't even a friend of Johnny's?
Johnny apparently met him 2 weeks prior
No kidding.
at one of his longtime friends' parties. So it was a friend of a friend.
And then, so it was
Yeah.
a three-piece.
The three-piece without a drummer for a
Without
long
a
time.
drummer.
And it was basically, okay, I don't want to introduce my songs to strangers. Let's... how are we doing for time? Why do we keep talking about Johnny Eyeball? Is this pizza ready
Because
yet?
Taylor
Okay,
asked you
that's
a straight
okay.
question about the MetalEddies.
Yeah.
Here we
And this
go.
is where it's going.
I could go on for 12 miserable years.
We have, this is part 1. What is it?
Part 1 of 3 of volume 1.
So we got lots of Spencer to come in the future. And
We should remind the few listeners who are left that this is ArtsTalk on 102.7 Chop FM. I'm
This
Dave
is around
Peters,
the... Sorry.
And you
What is
are?
that, Spencer? What
And
is
you
that?
are?
This is around the time that the listenership usually spikes because I get in my car and just get into town. So,
The
so the
listenership
numbers
goes
are
up by
static at the moment.
What's
This is bad for the show.
Shut up, Spencer.
This is Arts Don't Talk.
You know things are getting crazy when the host tells the guest to shut
Arts
up.
don't talk.
Arts
Maybe we
Talk.
should play some output, should we?
No, you know what? I take it back. I don't want you to shut up, Spencer.
Okay, don't worry, I wasn't listening.
Okay, good. Perfect. Let's continue the story of this guy with the King can, and you couldn't get rid of him. How'd you get rid of him?
He came and told us that he joined a second band and that he had a side project. So we're like, oh, you go and do that.
Yeah, okay.
That'll be all right. And in volume 2, episode 3, we'll tell the story of when Johnny re-met him and he introduced Johnny to Lars of Lars and the Bastards, aka and also Rancid. So
Okay,
we'll leave
perfect.
that story for
That will
way
be
later because that's
approximately
so unimportant.
April 2018.
Yeah.
Rancid. The Rancid?
Don't even. We're gonna
No,
talk about
the
that later.
Rancid. Yeah,
talk about
that's
that
later. That's a teaser. I said it's all about hype, building it up, and then taking it away, taking the ball away.
That's right,
Just
we're playing,
before.
We're playing a long game here.
Okay,
Okay,
so
there we go.
King Ken, he found another band.
Anyway, we're done.
He's
We-
okay.
we were
Where's
done
the
with
MetalEddies then?
him.
Tell me
So
where the
it's
MetalEddies
the two of you,
go.
Johnny
So,
Eyeball.
me and Johnny Eyeball, and I believe we had 7 drummers before we had one show.
Doesn't surprise me.
Our first practice was, I think, April 7th, and our first show was December 5th of 2000. Upstairs of the Bradford Arena. We were the opening act. Johnny will kill me if I tell this story. 5 minutes before we go on, he's in the washroom throwing up because he's so nervous.
No kidding.
I was so nervous that, well, the kid eats a lot, so you never know if it was nerves or whatever. You have to have us both on this show and put the steel cage right between, because you don't have to put it right to the roof because Johnny will never climb it all the way up. It'd actually top. Good luck with that. How's your back?
I'm really strong.
Anyway.
I'm really strong.
Anyway.
Oh, Johnny.
Wow,
So-
this is, you're getting so darky mean here.
So Johnny Six Blocks was actually the drummer of our first show, and he quit that night at 11 o'clock.
Was that
So
before or after you played?
after the set. That wasn't why Johnny threw up.
Did you kill? Was the set good?
I was so nervous. Our first 3 shows, I played so hard that I'd grind the pick so deep into the guitar that my fingernails were bleeding, and I had a white guitar at that time that I actually built at Huron Heights in night school course. And it is still splattered with blood.
Nice.
I have the
That is
picks
so rock
from
and
my
roll.
first 3 shows that are they're gray picks that are just black red because they're so, I've got them like nice and sealed kind of thing. That is the,
Wow.
if I die, that's what they're gonna clone me from. The rock and roll that took place that
We
evening.
do like a
Wow.
Newmarket Punk
So-
Scene in the old Newmarket Museum, and that would be in a glass case.
My blood is my contribution to this
Yes,
town.
there you go.
So yeah, what's the real question? Is there a next question, or are we still harping
we're
on
still-
Johnny Eyeball? He's sitting there loving it.
We were talking about MetalEddie.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
still trying to figure out what the hell
Yeah,
happened.
what is even MetalEddie?
Nobody knows what happened. So Johnny lasted.
did it happen?
Johnny lasted the first show. Jay didn't last one show. He lasted 3.5 months. We basically played to all the hockey moms and 5-year-olds who were playing a round robin tournament downstairs because we were on at like 6:30 or 7.
And what was the style of tunes for the MetalEddies? Was it metal? Was it punk?
It was not metal at all. It was just it was basically a joke name because we argued insanely over what the name should be.
Yeah.
And I jokingly said the MetalEddies, and Johnny loved it. It was just kind of like Johnny always took it to be like the special ed rock kind of thing. The Special Eddies, which sounds ridiculously as stupid as the MetalEddies.
Eddie's the name of the mascot of Iron Maiden, isn't it?
Didn't occur to me when I came up with that. Johnny loved it, but didn't even mention that. He probably secretly whatever.
Probably
Because it was just basically through public school and like forever. There's always that one metal kid in every grade that is like, regardless of what the year is or what the trend is, there's always that one kid that's just like stays true. And it's like,
Yeah.
let's do an ode to that kid. He's
Metal-
not our style kind of
MetalEddie,
thing.
I like it. But what were you playing? Was it punk?
It was Newmarket's answer to the Ramones. Basically, like, I'd always explain it to people who didn't have a clue what punk was. I'd be like, Buddy Holly on steroids. Like, 3 chords, loud and fast.
You're a
So,
Ramones fan?
yeah. That was the only
Yeah.
thing me and Johnny agreed
Yeah.
on.
You have that in common with Taylor?
Yeah, Dave and I argue over the Ramones all the time, and I say I like them, and Dave thinks that they suck.
They don't know how to play. But other than that, Ramones, Runaways, didn't know how to play.
To each their own.
There you go. I'm not swearing. I'm not swearing this show.
Look at you refraining from swearing. Should we play some output or no?
We can play
No?
some output, and then we're gonna have to say a short goodbye and maybe talk about the part.
Learn where
part
everybody
2
can-
of
Oh my
Volume
god,
1.
we haven't even talked about the band that I've
No,
been
we
in for the
haven't.
past 8 days.
Okay, so this is output with Sad Excuse. We're gonna come back in just a minute.
The MetalEddies, sad
On.
excuse. Here we go.
On.
102.7 Java FM.
That's right. That's right. Output with Sad Excuse on 102.7 Chop FM. This is ArtsTalk. I'm Dave Peters.
I'm Taylor Koss.
And we are in conversation with the one, the only Spencer Schliep.
And they took my microphone away.
So
I have it now. It's mine.
We've asked Spencer to do the rest of the show from the parking lot.
How's it going down there?
It's a little rainy.
No, you're not talking.
You told me that it was your turn.
Well, we got to wrap it up a little
Well,
bit.
say something.
Okay,
I'm not-
so,
you want
Carry
me to
on,
talk
Taylor.
about random stuff? It won't just
No.
wrap up.
Take it
No,
from here, Taylor.
sorry
Go
about that.
ahead.
Okay,
Give
so
me some direction.
Okay, I'm directing. So I just want to say thanks for coming on the show, Spencer. We have talked lots about you. It's so nice to have you here in person for the listeners.
Okay, that wasn't a question, but
Just
I'm very glad to accept the position taking over for Dave Peters. Sadly, have you been told, or is this how we're breaking it to you?
It's
how it's
that I am
a little insulting
replacing
that this
you.
is how I'm getting fired.
It is an all Ramones hour next week.
That's true. No, actually, next week we have a band from Mississauga, I believe. They are Lawless Sons, and we're going to have them in the studio.
All the way from Mississauga. Wow.
Yeah, it's going to be
Wow.
awesome. And so tune in next Wednesday. This is 102.7. You can stream this online, which you might be right now if you're listening outside of Newmarket. And yeah.
So we'd like to thank our good friend Spencer Schliep from coming in.
I don't usually get that kind of an exit, but
Wow.
okay. So I will be back.
You will be back.
I will fill all the dead air, or fill in for any guests that cancel on you,
Thank you.
or go mysteriously missing.
Okay. Wow.
I think we should have maybe some sort of a contest. Which was the weirdest show, the BS 101 show, or the Spencer Schliep
Definitely
show?
Spencer. Definitely Spencer.
Taylor's got her vote in, and I'd say it's pretty hard to argue with that. So
And I
I'd like
didn't
to
even
thank.
have to wear a banana suit. Did he wear it in the?
No, actually, Kieran
in the
didn't come. It
studio?
was
So he was
Specimen.
Specimen.
And what was Pez's name? Like
Pez
Italia macaroni, whatever
something.
it
It
was.
was,
I don't know. They were
So you're masking
Italian
them and
or
giving
something.
real names as opposed to the names
No,
that they
it was
presented on your show,
impossible
or-
to get them to
I
answer a
unmasked.
question out of.
I unmasked. I did. But you know what? Whatever. If you go see BS 101, they're playing October 28th at the Grey Goat with Hysterics and Mr. Junior and the Outbred In-Laws, and that will be the Halloween bash
And isn't
in
there?
Newmarket.
Yeah. So that's next Friday.
Nope, that's October 28th
That's what I said. October 28th. Hey, what's coming up next Friday? Isn't there something? Isn't there a show coming up?
on Friday.
Yeah. No.
No.
On Friday, there's an Against Me show, but we gotta go. So actually, on Friday, this band's show, the album release is this Friday at the Horseshoe Tavern. So go check it out there. This is Bike
This is
Thieves.
Destination Wedding. Oh, I love this song.
Yeah, Dave loves this song. We love this song.
This is Bike Thieves from Toronto.
You know it's a Ramones cover, right?
I don't think so. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. Spencer, thanks for being here. I'm Dave Peters.
I'm Taylor Cross.
And this is Destination Wedding by Bike Thieves on 102.7 Chop FM.
Of your shortcomings, they really hit the mark. And I like the wide-eyed lucid evaluation of your hang-ups. Now I've got 2 dogs on Xanax and my partner's a bit of a drinker. I withhold sex when he doesn't do the dishes. He withholds sex when he sleeps with other women. I know. And I know. Get me out this social sinkhole. Look me in the eye like I got a good show, but accommodate fear because you're a nice guy. Get me out this social sinkhole. Just last week, my sister went out and she bought a new Dyson. About goddamn time I felt some excitement, and maybe it's time I got back on antidepressants. Soon enough, I'm happy to help him out, and I